Tonight, you don't have to struggle anymore. Allow your thoughts to simply slow down. Your body.k.n release the tension it carried all day. Right here, in this quiet space, you can rest, you can breathe, you can let go. Perhaps today asked too much of you. Work, family, expectations, and even now, your mind tries to solve problems that can wait until tomorrow. But listen, the world outside is distant now. The rain, the soft chimes, they're not noise, they're permission. Permission to rest. Feel your breath slowing down. Feel your shoulders dropping gently. You don't need to hold anything up. Not right now. If you allow it, I will guide you into calm. A Zen story, told slowly. Designed to ease the mind and soften the edges of your thoughts. Imagine sleep arriving, not forced, but naturally, like the tide returning to shore. You deserve this rest. You deserve this peace. And tonight, it will be yours. So breathe in and breathe out. Let your eyelids grow heavy. Let your breath deepen. Stay with my voice until the end, and allow it to carry you in to deep, natural sleep. Pause 3 seconds. When you're ready, we begin. In a peaceful village at the foot of the mountain, there lived a young man named Daisuke. He was an apprentice in the monastery, quiet, diligent, and always trying his best. But deep within, he craved validation, not for fame, not for praise, but because he feared being seen as useless. One day, people spoke of an ancient water jar, lost in the deep forest. No one knew where it was. No one was certain. It was still intact, but it was believed to be a symbol of pride. Hearing that, Daisuke asked for permission to climb the mountain. He thought, if he could find the jar, perhaps people would see him differently. No one forced him. No one required it. It was only him and the pressure he placed on himself. Before he left, his master said softly, "Don't forget what truly matters." Daisuke bowed. Yet, in his heart, he still hoped this journey would prove his worth. And so, on a cool morning, he entered the mountains, not for the jar, but because he was searching for an answer within himself. Daisuke began his journey across the desert to reach the ancient village in the deep forest. He found the jar and returned, filled with joy and pride. Along the way back, he kept thinking, if I lose this jar, I lose everything. The joy slowly grew heavy, not by its weight, but by fear. On the third day of his journey, in the barren desert, a sandstorm struck. As he ran to find shelter, Daisuke stumbled and fell into a crevice, caught on a rocky ledge. The jar slipped from his grasp and lay just beneath him. He could let go to reach the jar, but doing so meant he could no longer climb up. If he slipped, or if the fragile rock gave way, Wind lashed his face like knives. The stones beneath him began to crumble. He looked at the jar. An old object, scratched, chipped at the rim. Nothing shiny, nothing mystical. But to him, it was the result of days of searching, a promise made to his master, a belief that once he found it, people would finally look at him differently. No longer a nameless apprentice. His hands trembled. He knew it sounded foolish. It was just an old jar. Anyone else would never understand its value to him, but to him, it symbolized effort, dignity, and pride. He thought, if I leave it behind, then what was all my effort? For another voice argued inside him. If I stay alive, I still have chances. If I die here, everything ends. Fear crept into every breath, not fear of the storm, but fear of failure, fear of returning empty-handed, fear of the villager's eyes. He remembered his master. He said, a person's value does not lie in what they bring back, but in how they continue to live. He had nodded then, but never understood. Now, hanging on the mountainside, he finally faced two choices: cling to the jar to feed his ego, or let it go to protect himself. His heartbeat quickened, his wrists numbed. The storm did not wait for his thoughts. He understood now, with no more excuses. The jar was the past, life was the present, and sometimes letting go is not failure, but a beginning with legs still steady and a heart still beating. He inhaled deeply. This was no longer a choice between an object and a life. It was a choice between ego and awakening. His fingers were numb, his grip slippery with rain. A stone beneath him fell into the abyss. Without echo, he swallowed, not because he feared the height, but because of the harsh truth. He could not keep both. A single question pierced his mind. What am I trying to prove? And to whom? Suddenly, images flashed. The proud gaze he imagined from his master, the village's praise he longed for, and the shadow of himself pretending to be strong for so long. He realized none of those stood beside him now. It was only him and his breath. The jar was lifeless. It would not save him. Should the earth beneath give way, a gust of wind struck, almost knocking him off. In that instant, fear and clarity intertwined. If I die here, this jar will lie with my bones. No one will know. No one will remember. His breath broke, not from despair, but from understanding. The simplest truth, what he clung to, was not worth his life. With resolve, no hesitation, he chose to climb. Without the jar, his arm grew lighter, his shoulders eased, his breath deepened. He was still there, alive, whole, and amidst the roaring storm, a strange, quiet bloomed within him. Letting go is not an end, but the beginning of freedom. In a small village, on a mist-covered mountainside, there lived a young potter named Asher. Every day, he sat by the spinning wheel, kneading clay, shaping pot after pot, repeating the same motions, until his hands looked like those of a true artisan. He always seemed tired and sorrowful, but the thing that exhausted him was not the long hours of labor. It was the thoughts simmering in his mind, thoughts that refused to leave. Whenever a pot cracked, he didn't just see the fragments of clay, he saw the disappointed eyes of customers, heard their sighs, and felt as if he had let someone down. Then his mind would drag him back to older memories, to the time when his father stood behind him, watching him work, and whispered, "You must do better." The words were not loud, yet they lingered like a shadow that followed him for years. From that moment on, every tiny mistake became a mountain of pressure. It was never just a broken pot, but proof that he was not good enough, not worthy enough. And this tangled his mind. He could no longer distinguish between a minor flaw in his craft and his own sense of self-worth. So day after day, those thoughts did not fade. Instead, they grew like a whirlwind. There were moments when Asher sat before the wheel and could not begin. The clay was soft in his hands, but his mind had hardened, weary, confused, and heavy. He began to fear mistakes, to fear even touching the clay, to fear failure again. At night, he lay listening to his own breath, and it sounded like someone else's, distant, shallow, exhausted. He stared at the ceiling and wondered, how can an ordinary life be so tiring? Why can a single sentence still unsettle me? After all the years, what am I living for? These questions were no longer mere worries. They became a force that made him realize if he continued living like this, his days would repeat endlessly with unchanging exhaustion, until one early morning, while the village was still asleep, Asher looked at the unfinished pots, and for the first time, he did not see the clay before him. He saw his own soul, filled with cracks that had never been healed. He understood those cracks could not be mended by his hands. They required something else, another answer, another path. And in the stillness, he knew he could not stay, not to escape, but to search for the reason why a mind could be bound by the past and the future. Asher gathered his few belongings. His heart was trembling, yet light. He did not know where he would go, but he knew he must go. He must begin a journey to understand something he never had, how to live lightly. In this very moment, that was the moment he left his familiar pottery home and began his journey toward truth. Asher decided to climb the mountain to seek Master Rahin, a monk said, to guide people back to the stillness of the present moment. He walked along a stone-paved path, hearing the wind whisper through the pines and the stream murmuring below the cliffs. When he arrived, the master simply said, "If you seek peace, do not look for it in yesterday, nor in tomorrow. Look into the present." Asher frowned. But how can I stop thinking about what has passed? How can I not worry about what has yet to come? The master did not reply. He simply gave him a task. He led Asher to a stone gate. 3 words were carved upon it: past, present, future. You will be the gatekeeper, the master said. Stand here for 3 nights. When someone arrives, ask them where they come from. On the first night, a man in torn clothing appeared. Weeping, "I lost everything. If only I hadn't made that mistake years ago. If only I had chosen differently." Asher listened, and his heart tightened. He saw himself reflected in that despair. On the second night, a merchant arrived, frantic. "What if I go bankrupt tomorrow? I must prepare. I must plan again." Asher saw himself in that anxiety. But on the third night, no one came. Only the wind, the falling leaves, and Asher's own breath. And for the first time in his life, he listened to that breath. He realized the past is a guest that has already left. The future is a guest that has not yet arrived. Only the present is the friend. Sitting beside him, the master returned and asked, "Whom did you guard tonight?" Asher replied, "No one. I saw only myself." The master smiled. When your mind rests in the present, there is no need to banish the past or future. They leave on their own. Breath is the doorway. This moment is home. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Let your mind rest in the present moment. For the first time, Asher's mind grew still. That night, he and the master spoke together. Asher bowed and shared his worries once again. The master listened for a long time, without interruption. Then he gently said, "Return to your breath. Only when you live in this moment will the storm of thoughts subside." He guided Asher to sit, place his hands on his knees, and simply inhale, then exhale. No forcing, no resisting, just awareness. At first, his mind continued to chase old fears, but slowly, each thought grew lighter, like thin clouds, dissolving as the wind shifts. For the first time in years, Asher truly felt the present moment, the wind outside, the rhythm of his heartbeat, and his breath entering, then leaving. No past to regret, no future to fear, only what is here, now. And in that simple moment, his heart grew lighter, not because all his problems vanished, but because they no longer controlled him. Asher stayed in the hermitage for a few days, then returned to the village. The wheel was still the same wheel. The clay was still the same clay, but his hands no longer trembled, and his mind was no longer bound. He understood. Peace does not lie in changing life, but in how we are present within each moment of it. What the Master taught is the essence of Buddhist mindfulness. When we anchor the mind to the breath, it has a place to rest. When we are aware of the present moment, chaotic thoughts weaken. From that awareness, tension fades, and sleep comes naturally. The Buddha taught that true presence in this moment helps us escape the cycle of past and future and find stillness within, not by forcing ourselves to stop thinking, but by seeing thoughts clearly and letting them pass, like the breath that comes and goes without effort. Pause 2 seconds. Once upon a time, in a village near the borderlands, there lived a blacksmith named Giấy. He was renowned across the region for forging the strongest, heaviest shields, treasured by many warriors. But the better he became, the more pride filled his heart. When people praised him, he felt superior. When they criticized him, anger, and self-doubt haunted him for weeks. To him, his name and reputation were like the shields he forged. They had to be solid, shining, and unbreakable. One day, a visitor said his shield was too heavy. Just a simple comment. Yet it wounded Jiro deeply. He couldn't sleep. Those words echoed in his mind. Not good enough, not perfect. He believed that his worth lay in the things he made. So if the shield was imperfect, then he himself held no value. Reputation became a burden. Pride turned into fear. He worked day and night. Days passed as he studied and tried to fix every detail. But the more he repaired, the more anxious he grew. Because he wasn't repairing the shield, he was trying to fix his ego. An ego, he believed, must be flawless, fixed, untouchable. He didn't want to be seen as weak, didn't want to admit mistakes, didn't accept imperfection. Every crack on the shield felt like a fracture in his heart. Every hammer strike sounded like a verdict against himself. I'm still not good enough. I have to do better. If I fail, I'm nothing. He began to fear the eyes of others, fear the truth that he was only human. Capable of being wrong. His mind tangled like knotted threads. Sleepless nights drained him. By day, his hands trembled. By night, his heart felt heavy as stone. In that moment, he understood. It wasn't the shield that was breaking, but his heart. If he continued, he would lose everything. His craft, his health, and himself. And so, for the first time in his life, he thought of letting go. Not letting go of the shield, but the ego that chained him. He left the village. One day, Jiro sought a wise monk. In a temple on the mountain, the monk looked at him and said, "A broken shield can be reforged, but the self you cling to. It is not metal to be polished." Jiro didn't understand. The monk handed him a handful of ashes and blew lightly. The ashes scattered reputation, praise, criticism. If you do not cling to them, they are like ashes. A breeze comes and they drift away. Then the monk asked, "When the shield chips, is it you who feels pain?" Jiro nodded. The monk smiled. "You suffer because you see the shield as yourself, but the shield is not you. It is impermanent. You are impermanent. There is no fixed self that can be hurt." His words were like a cool wind blowing through Jiro's mind. For the first time, Jiro saw clearly. He had carried the shield as if it were his ego and exhausted himself. When he returned, Jiro forged again, but this time, with every strike of the hammer, he breathed in and breathed out. The shield is a shield. I am myself. Mistakes do not lessen me. Praise does not elevate me. And strangely, his work became lighter. No more trembling hands. No more sleepless nights. He understood. When we do not cling, we cannot be wounded by what is impermanent. From this story, we learn everything is impermanent. Shields, praise, criticism, suffering arises when we cling to the self and make it the center. When we understand non-self, we no longer need to defend ourselves from every word like ashes in the wind. When we don't grasp them, they simply drift away. When we no longer see, praise, or blame as ourselves, the mind remains unhurt. The heart grows lighter, like the wind passing through the sky. In daily life, it is the same. Receive praise without holding on to it. Face criticism without resistance. Meet mistakes without identifying with them. And so, stress softens, the mind relaxes, and sleep arrives more gently. Pause 2 seconds. Ending. Sleep ready. And now, as the story comes to a close, we look back at the young man's journey, a lesson in letting go. What we cling to may never have belonged to us. When we release it, we do not lose. We become lighter, a lesson in stillness and presence. When he realized that fear and expectations lived only in imagination, while breath and every moment were where the mind could truly rest. A lesson in impermanence and non-self. The self is not fixed, nor perfect, nor required to be. Through acceptance of change, freedom from suffering unfolds. These teachings may seem distant, yet they dwell, in every breath, in every thought we choose to release. If you are listening to this, allow your mind to rest. For a moment, relax your shoulders, relax your heart, and simply breathe. Before we end, a gentle question for you. If this lesson touched you, I invite you to take a second to soften, a breath to be present, and a moment to listen within. If you wish to explore further or continue this journey with me, please subscribe and like, so every night you can return here, like coming back to a familiar place of peace. And I truly want to know, which lesson moved you most? Letting go, stillness, or non-self? Share your thoughts. You may be surprised to find that many others feel the same, and you are not alone on this path. Thank you for listening. May sleep come to you as light as breath and as deep as silence in the night.